It would be a severe understatement to say that the meeting of Whitebeard and Roger was of epic proportions. Shonen Ouji here to dig deeper into your favorite anime and manga. And before I start this review, make sure to like this video if you enjoy what I had to say. Make sure to comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on the chapter. With all that out of the way, let's start this review of chapter 966. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the initial encounter between Roger and Whitebeard. So we see that they start with the fight, but it actually starts with Odin trying to take on Roger, and Roger uses an attack against him, and it totally outclasses Odin. And then we see this clash between Whitebeard and Roger, and it looks like they're using armament hockey, but it could be like a variation on it, like we saw with Zoro when he got the new sword. And this, I'm not like a huge power scale type person, but in terms of like relative power, it made me think like, I know hockey isn't how they think of that power in Wano. I know Hyogoro told us that they think of it in another way, but Odin seemed like baffled by the fact that they were clashing and like they weren't even touching, which like I guess is like very epic because they're so strong, but like I don't know, the way I read it, it seems as if like he's like completely baffled just by like the concept, which again is strange because we know that like Odin is just like naturally talented, but it makes me wonder like if he even know, like he has to know about hockey because he's been around the Whitebeard pirates. But I don't know, I think it was just strange the way he reacted, like specifically that he was like, oh, they're not even touching, and the whole island. I guess I'm reading into it too much, but the clash itself was very cool. But I do have to say, and this isn't like unique to this chapter, it felt like it was rushed. Like I would have liked to have seen a few more panels of Roger and Whitebeard fighting. Like this felt like it should have been longer than when we saw Odin clash with Whitebeard, because that was just like the door into Odin joining the Whitebeard pirates. This felt like a like another very quick, very like let's get this over with gateway into okay, now we have Roger and Whitebeard talking. It felt like a means to an end, which I get. I get that Oda is trying to like wrap this up in a sense because we still haven't even started the raid on Onigashima. And Oda supposedly thinks he's ending One Piece in 5 years, and he hasn't even started the raid on Onigashima. So it's understandable that he would want to speed up this flashback. But at the same time, it feels rushed. It feels like Oda is only doing this in the interest of like hitting the major points. Like it feels like he had his outline before he drew and wrote everything. He was like, okay, this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and he's sort of just drawing on his outline. And again, I get it. It's in the interest of time. We don't want to be in this flashback for like a year. Like if this flashback got the proper story and plot and filler and whatnot, it would be probably like 9 months long, like 9 months worth of stories and chapters. So I'm not mad, but it's disappointing because I feel like an encounter between Whitebeard and Roger, even though we've seen a bunch of encounters between them with like little flashbacks, it feels like it should have been fleshed out a lot more. On a similar note, I was a little disappointed in the farewell from Odin to the Whitebeard pirates. this is why I thought, or this is exactly, not exactly, but this is how I thought Odin was going to get aboard the Roger Pirates. I thought Odin was going to get on board because Roger knew he needed to figure out how to read the Poneglyphs, and he was going to figure out that Odin knew how to do it. But again, kind of like this counter between Whitebeard and Roger, it just felt like a means to an end. And I feel like I was supposed to have read this and like been more awestruck, but it just like happened so quick, and there was like so much like emptiness in between panels, at least to me. It felt like it didn't have like a ton of substance, especially like Whitebeard. We see Whitebeard like very angry that Roger would even suggest he just give away one of his crewmates. And I liked that part because although we haven't like actually seen a ton of the adventures between Odin and Whitebeard, like we know just from what we've seen that they've spent a lot of time together, and Whitebeard would consider Odin and his family a part of his family. So for Roger to just suggest, hey, can I borrow him? It would be kind of like not so nice. It's his family. He's not just going to give up Odin. But I guess it ties into what I said last week, which was Odin feels like he needs some sort of purpose to his adventure. So this is like a tie-in to his purpose. But I don't know. I feel like Whitebeard didn't really give up much of a fight. And I don't know. Again, I think in general, I just feel like this chapter could have been like fleshed out more. It's great that we saw a lot of like important plot points, but I don't know. I feel like the events that went on in this chapter probably should have happened over the course of like 2 chapters. Now, what I need to talk about before I talk about Odin's time with Roger as like a Roger pirate, I need to talk about Blackbeard. I said last week, I was like, are you kidding me? This is all we're going to see from Blackbeard. Just like this crappy origin of like, hey, can I join you? Sure. Yeah. We get this little tidbit. Now, this to me was like the saving grace of this chapter. There were a ton of like epic things that happened in the chapter, but to me, this was like the saving grace of this chapter because we get a tease into the future of the story. And it seems really simple, like very like not important to the story, but I feel like this is something that Oda just like dropped and could be a major plot point. So after their battle between the Whitebeard pirates and the Roger pirates, they're hanging out. Blackbeard is looking at Buggy and Shanks. He's like, oh, they don't look like much. Shanks and Buggy are looking at Blackbeard, and Buggy tells Shanks that Blackbeard did not sleep for a second over the entire course of their time on the island, or at least from what he's seen. That is such a strange thing to drop. Like, that is such a strange thing to notice about Blackbeard. And I thought it over, and like I don't think it has like any like significance, at least towards his character. The only thing I could think of is that Blackbeard is like somehow already scheming, which would make sense because we know he's like the type of character that likes to scheme and work behind the scenes and let everybody else fight it out, and then he takes advantage, and like he is like very opportunistic. So it would make sense that like, oh, he never sleeps because he's always like scheming up these plans. But my interpretation of this is Blackbeard has some sort of strange power. Or there's something about him where he just never sleeps, and it's going to tie in. This is what I'm guessing. This is not like a theory because I have nothing to base it on. I'm just making a guess. It seems like this could possibly tie in to how Blackbeard is able to steal devil fruits. I don't know. It could be that, like, I'm a very like generous far end that I happen to be right. It could have something to do with that. It could just be that he's a freak, he's a weirdo, and he just never sleeps. But thank you, Oda, because I would have been livid if we got nothing about Blackbeard. But just this little tidbit, just because it's so, like, under the layers of this chapter, and you could have just totally missed it. But it seems like it's so important. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear about Blackbeard. Now, finally, I want to talk about Odin becoming a Roger pirate. Now, I know I said I wasn't in love with the fight between Roger and Whitebeard, and I thought, like, it could have used a little more TLC, a little more attention. But I really like how Roger has been treated. Specifically, everyone said he kind of looks like Ace, at least in that one chapter where he was reading about Odin and he had all the jewelry. But he was acting very Luffy-like. There was one scene where he was like, oh, I'm going to take him on all by myself. And it looked like he had like a very Luffy-like smile. And just the way he walks and talks, he acts like a Luffy. And I'm sure people would say Luffy acts like Roger. But it's just nice to see that, like, Roger is just like a normal dude, kind of like Luffy. He's not like this like stoic hero. He's just like, he's a dude that likes having fun. He's just happy-go-lucky guy. But we see Odin and his family join the Roger Pirates, and it was very cute to see them like holding Hiyori and Momonosuke. It was cute to see Roger hold Hiyori. He was like, oh man, it's been a while since I held a baby. I guess that's like one difference between him and Luffy, is that he has like this matureness, adultness. He's more mature in a sense than Luffy. Although that's a discussion for another time. It was cute to see them holding babies. But although like we didn't see a ton of their adventures yet, we obviously know that Odin goes on a lot of adventures for give or take a year with Roger. I really, really liked seeing that they go to Sky Island and seeing that Odin carves the message. It was a very nice tie back to the Sky Island arc, and it answers our question of like Roger being able to like speak with the Poneglyphs and etc., etc. So I guess I liked this part more than the initial beginning of this chapter. What I was saying last week was I want to see this all tie into what Odin was talking about with I need some end to my story and I need like a purpose. So I want to see where this goes with like the Kozuki clan and their gift to write the language of the Poneglyphs. I want to see like some sort of like grander purpose tie into Raftel. And I also want to see, which I think we'll get next week, or the next chapter, I want to see this tie into Odin, like, okay, I'm done adventuring. I want to go back to Wano, and I want to go and open the borders. And I want to see how he reaches that point in his journey. But overall, it was a good chapter. I know everyone's going to talk about how epic it was. It was a cool fight to see. I just wish we'd seen more of it. It felt rushed. And unfortunately, that is it for this chapter. I know there's a ton more to talk about. That's just what I had to get off my chest. Like I said, like the video if you enjoyed what I had to say. Comment below. Was I too harsh this week or was I fair? Make sure you subscribe so you can see my future videos when they come out. Follow me on Twitter because I'm going to be watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So if you want to keep up with me on that, follow me on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.